War crimes are fun, but why? You see, rules are meant to be broken a lot. And war plus crimes equals fun. We just know this. Alright, and Phyrexians love fun. For example, some of the things they enjoy are makeovers, sporting events, arts and crafts, cool architecture, big parties, and who could forget their most favorite thing? Forcefully invading other worlds and turning the inhabitants into slaves. That's just, they love doing that. Look how happy this guy is. Cool. Alright, so this gave me an idea. So I head over to the United Nations website and I looked at all possible war crimes. And I said, okay, let's look at how many war crimes they commit and how many war crimes they don't commit to see if Phyrexians are actually that violent. Alright, let's take a look. Intentionally using starvation of civilians as a method of warfare by depriving them of objects indispensable to their survival, including willfully impeding the relief supplies as provided for under the Geneva Conventions. You see, that's a Phyrexian. And they don't really attack people's food. They kill people. That's not killing people's food. So, I mean, like, it's technically not a war crime. So we'll put that one in the peaceful slot. All right, killing or wounding treacherously individuals belonging to the hostile nation or army. That means traitor. See, Phyrexians, they love people who defect. It's kind of their thing. You take an enemy, you give them a convincing argument, and look at that. They're part of the team. So yeah, I'm going to say Phyrexia accepts all new members. That's +1 to peaceful. Employing poison or poisoned weapons. Yeah, that says infect too. That's also that. Yeah, that says it too. That says it. Yeah, it literally says poison counters. By definition, yes, it is a war crime. All right, pillaging a town or place even when taken by assault. Yep. Yeah, probably. Literally in the job description. I'm going to say, yeah, that's a war crime. All right, extensive destruction and appropriation of property not justified by military necessity and carried out unlawfully and wantonly. Literally the job description. Same as before. That's a war crime. All right, committing outrages upon personal dignity, in particular humiliating and degrading treatment. Well, when you take magic oil and you just sort of shove it into a person, I think that counts as an outrage upon personal dignity. So yeah, that person is not happy, probably. I don't know, I'm just guessing, but I'm going to say it's a safe bet. Oil, +1 in war crime. The transfer directly or indirectly by the occupying power of parts of its own civilian population into the territory it occupies, or the deportation or transfer of all parts of the population of the occupied territory within or outside this territory. So that's like you take a person who's like happy and they're living in their space, and then you move them over to Phyrexia, and you give them a convincing argument. They do that a lot, actually. That's a war crime. All right, willfully causing great suffering or serious injury to body or health. Here's a little snippet of the wiki for joining the Phyrexian ranks. If the project is successful, the subject is then guided to the surgery table, where the splicers perform operations that will repurpose the subject to whatever is required of them. These operations might include flaying of the skin and replacement with metal, the replacement of veins and arteries with metallic cables, and almost always exposure to the subject of extreme pain and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, worse things can happen. It's a short list of worse things, but still, it exists. Well, that's a +1 in war crimes. Subjugating a person who are in the power of adverse party to physical mutilation or to medical or science experiments of any kind, which are neither justified by the medical, dental, or hospital treatment of the person concerned, nor carried out in his or her interest, and which cause death to or seriously endanger the health of such persons or person. Fun fact, here's the next paragraph of that wiki snippet I showed you. If the process of completion has fatal results, worse things can happen. All right, declaring that no quarter be given. That's not big on mercy. That's literally shielded the apocalypse. I'm going to say it's not even hard. +1 in war crime. Intentionally directing attacks against civilian objects, that is, objects which not military objective. This feels redundant. I feel like I've seen this one before. Literally in the job description, Phyrexians actually love civilians. All right, +1 in war crime. All right, I'm not going to read this one because of that, but you're going to have to take my word for it. It's actually not something they do. I don't want to get... Yeah, okay. Intentionally directing attacks against personnel, installation, units, or vehicles involved in a humanitarian assistance or peacekeeping mission in accordance with the Charter of the United Nations. As long as they are entitled to the... Oh, God, whoever writes this is a loser. Humanitarian aid, they don't go after that. They just attack everyone. The flamingo, it's a war crime. It's so much to read. I can do this. All right. Employing weapons or projectiles, the material and methods of warfare which are of nature to cause superfluous injury or necessary suffering, or which inherently indiscriminately in violation of the international law of armed conflict, provided that such weapons, projectiles, and materials and methods of warfare are subject of a compromise permission and are included in an annex to this salute by an amendment in accordance with the relevant provisions set forth in Articles 121 and 123. I want you to look at that. That probably causes superfluous injury. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it does. And there's a lot more where that thing came from. That's a war crime. All right, declaring abolished, suspended, or inadmissible in a court of law rights and actions of the nationals of the hostile party. So I just have to guess on this one. But I'm going to guess if Elshnorn was taken to court, she would probably say that she did nothing wrong. It's speculation, yes, but it's also accurate speculation. So I'm going to have to throw that one into the war crimes. Torture, inhumane experiments, including biological experiments, treatment. All right, so that's Jin Gitaxis. That's his entire lore and literally everything he does. Look at that. That's fun. All right, he just likes science. That's a war crime. Destroying or seizing the enemy's property unless such destruction or seizure by impermanently demanding the necessary... I don't know this. I don't want to do this one. I got a better idea. Flamingo slide. Alright, it is a war crime, by the way. Yeah, it's a war crime. Alright, making improper use of a flag of truce, of the flag of the military insignia, and uniform of... Yeah, so Phyrexians don't use flags, so Flamingo. That's a +1 to war crime. Willful killing. No explanation required. That's a war crime. Alright, willfully depriving a prisoner of war or other protected persons the rights of a fair trial. Phyrexians don't take any prisoners. Nerd. Actually, wait, they do that a lot. That's actually kind of like everything they do. That's a war crime, never mind. Intentionally directing attacks against buildings dedicated to religion, education, science, charitable purpose, historic monuments. I just don't want to read the rest of it. You get the idea. But see, look at all this. That's technically all Phyrexian military objectives. So I have to count it as a war crime nonetheless, because I feel like there's something wrong with counting it as a military objective. So yeah, I would put it as a war crime. All right, utilizing the presence of a civilian or other protected persons to render certain points, areas, or military forces immune from military. Phyrexians have no civilians. Nerd. All right, Phyrexians also don't have free will. That's +1 and peaceful. All right, employing bullets which expand or flatten easily in the human body, such as bullets with a hard envelope, which does not completely cover the core or is pierced with incisions. Phyrexians don't use bullets, nerd. Yeah, Phyrexians use less human weapons. That's +1 for peaceful. All right, killing a wounded combatant who have laid down his arms or having no means of defense surrendering. Look at this thing. Do you think it would show mercy? I want you to take a good hard look at it and just think, does it show mercy? No, it doesn't. Yeah. So that's a +1 to war crime. Alright. Taking of hostages. Phyrexians don't actually take hostages, nerd. I mean, actually, technically, like, with Jace, you turn him into that, and I guess that's, like, kind of hostage, I don't know. It's close, but I'm just going to put it in peaceful. Conscripting or enlisting children under the age of 15 years into the international armed forces and participate. Yeah, that thing right there, that could have been a child at one point, and then it was completed and joined Phyrexia. So, yeah, Phyrexia doesn't discriminate, and yes, that's a war crime. Intentionally directing attacks against buildings, material, medical units, and transport, and personally using distinct emblems of the Geneva. Well, technically there is no Geneva Convention in Magic. So that's great. Technically, they would attack it, though, so I'm going to put it as a war crime. All right, unlawful deportation or transfer or unlawful confinement. I'm going to say they're probably not there willingly. That's a fair guess. I'm also starting to notice a pattern with how many of these are war crimes. All right, compelling the nations of a hostile party to take part in the operation of war directed against its own country, even if they were into belligerent service before the commencement of the war. Literally the job description. All right. Yeah, it's a +1 in war crime. Intentionally directing attacks against the civilian population as such against individuals, not... You hear that. It's another flamingo slide. Alright, some of these war crimes are a little redundant. +1. Alright, compelling the prisoners of war and other protected people to serve in the forces of a hostile party. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Just get war crime. All right, the passing of sentences and carrying out executions. Flamingo. Too many big words. All right, I'm just going to assume yes. +1 in war crime. Employing asphyxiating. Yeah, we literally already talked about poisonous weapons. It's glistening oil. Probably yes, war crime. Attacking or embodying whatever towns. This one has come up like 5 different times before. Why do you keep putting the same thing down? It's whatever. +1 in war crime. Intentionally launching an attack with the knowledge that will cause literally the job description. All right, Phyrexians do not like organic stuff. +1 in war crime. All right, final score. As you can see, there's much more peacefulness from the Phyrexians than war crimes. So as you can tell, by the fact that they have more not war crimes than war crimes, they are peaceful. So yeah, they're non-violent and they're peaceful. Yeah, please subscribe, Flamingo.